What's up, everybody? Welcome to Racing Dudes Live. We are live on Wednesday, Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oaks Week. It's awesome. We're excited. We hope you are excited as well. The chat is blowing up. We got a full house today. Mike Somich, Jared Welch, Aaron Haltman, Papa Dude, and of course Magic here. Guys, not too much news really to talk about that was breaking, which is good. We don't have to adjust any picks. They like to wait until after we think we've got the wagering Bible finalized and everybody's top four set in stone. And then all of a sudden all the scratches come in. A couple of fan questions we'll start off with here I think will be fun. First one, what is your favorite Kentucky Derby tradition? Jared, I'll start with you. What's your favorite tradition for the Kentucky Derby?
My favorite tradition is picking a winner of the Kentucky Derby. That's which doesn't happen all that often. No, favorite tradition. I mean, it used to be different. You know, back when we were just like fans, like we would always have a Derby party. Usually at my parents' house, and Halterman and Heather and everyone would come out, and we would do the Derby draws and everything like that. Favorite tradition though, that's tough. I think it's just it's got to be, and it's not really a favorite, but it's like I don't know if you guys are the same way. I get hit up by so many people wanting my opinion, and also like, hey, if I give you money, can you bet this for? I'm like, son of a bitch. So that is my favorite / worst tradition. If all the people that all of a sudden want my opinion on something for the one time of the year.
Jason, I just lost it. Jason says, his favorite tradition, getting drunk and losing money. And I guess if you're going to lose money and get drunk, you might as well have some fun with it. On that note, Aaron, what's your favorite Kentucky Derby tradition?
It's funny. The party at Jared's house used to be the big tradition, honestly. And what happened was we got too busy and we couldn't do it anymore. You know, I would love to go out there to your parents' house Saturday and do all the stupid stuff we used to do, Jared. That sounds amazing. But we got to be on the air. We got to take care of products. We got picks. We got to take care of customer service. So that ruined it. This Derby. I hate the Derby now. It sucks.
me and Halterman, there was a one time, when was that? 2015 Derby. Me and him, we made fools of ourselves dancing in front of everybody when Pharaoh won the Kentucky Derby, because we both had huge amounts of money on him to win. We obviously had touted the horse, for everybody. We made we didn't care though. We didn't care. We were dancing and hugging and probably somewhat emotional after that one. They probably canceled it after that year, actually.
That was probably it. Yeah.
Mike Somich, how about you? What is your favorite Kentucky Derby tradition?
Well, I've got a couple. Generally, it's muting the national broadcast after about 5 minutes. I get excited about being able to do that, so I don't have to listen to that anymore. The second one would be ripping up all my tickets and immediately going on tilt after the Pat Day Mile, because that generally is just a problem race. So we'll see if that – I have a big opinion in that race this year, so we'll see if that tradition lives on. The one I'm looking forward to most starting, though, is being live with you guys for a Derby, because it's going to be a lot of fun to be going through that all this year, spending a couple hours talking about the races leading up to it, what we've seen for the day and the weekend. And then being able to be on for the actual Derby and talking about it. It's going to be a lot more fun than watching the national broadcast. So excited about getting that tradition started.
Yeah, last year I was live. Mostly, I know everybody else was in Kentucky, so I was live for most of the day by myself, and that was it was interesting. I learned how to program myself bathroom breaks with video clips in here and there just so I could actually run off for a little bit. But we will all have the whole gang here. We won't, no Saratoga Slim this year, good and bad. We're going to miss Saratoga Slim. We also won't have very drunk Slim screaming the whole race call as everything unfolds, and then losing his voice as Rich Strike crosses the finish line. Papa Dude, what's your favorite Kentucky Derby tradition?
Well, let's see. I never was invited to Jared and Aaron's party. I wouldn't have went anyway. Getting drunk and losing money, that is horrible. So I don't like that at all. Okay, I'll just go. I love it when they play my old Kentucky home. I think that is pretty cool. That part I really like. And even though I don't like Kentucky that well, I really do like that. I think that's pretty cool when they play. That would be my favorite tradition. And by the way, Jared, I've already been hit up by 7 or 8 people who I'm picking, and I never hear from 4 of them. So
welcome to the team.
There was one year, I don't know how many years ago that was, Halterman. It's been several, that I had some people hit me up for the Breeders' Cup. and he told me to bet. It was like two or three horses to show that were like the longest, like some of the longest shots. And I was like, I'm gonna pocket the money, and I'm just gonna tell him I bet it, and forget it. Well, those fuckers showed, and I had to pay out of my pocket to pay this guy back. And Halterman was like, oh no. I was like, never again am I accepting money from anybody, because I hate doing that.
My favorite tradition is the overreactions throughout the day, the track bias, how you think there is a track bias. Everyone will make an assumption after race one even on Friday. We'll make an assumption after race one Friday of what Saturday afternoon with a 20-horse field will be like when they're going a mile and a quarter. So I always enjoy that. It's fun just to see everybody lose their mind. That hour-long, I will say my least favorite tradition is the hour-long wait between the Old Forester Turf Classic and the Kentucky Derby. Yep. Nick Seaver's on his way to the airport, at the airport on his way to the Derby. Good luck, Nick. Have a great time. Multiple weird hats and suits in the suitcase. I hope in the suitcase and not wearing them. That'd be a very uncomfortable flight over to Louisville, Kentucky. I had a question pop up here in the chat I want to go to. Already losing it because you guys are great. Kelly wants to know, does anyone have any superstitions that they bet or not bet by? Does anybody have any superstitions like that?
I don't, now that I'm doing it professionally. No, when you just make a bet or two a year, you do, but you realize that's all crazy.
None from you, Papa Dude. I would have guessed if anybody did, you might have had one.
No, I really don't. I don't. I'm not one of those. I do tell you, the people I hate is at the racetrack and they bet a 50-1 and they get it right. And they act like they knew what they were doing. Now that pisses me off. I will say that.
Stay out of our YouTube comments section, because the Rich Strike folks are still telling us about. Yeah, it's one of those things. When Arkang won the Breeders' Cup and was like 132-1 or whatever. The jockey afterwards said that, years later said he has so many people come up to him and say that they had a winning ticket on Arkang. He's like, if everybody that told me they had that winning ticket had a winning ticket, he would have been 50-1, not 132-1. So I kind of feel that way about the Rich Strike car. Everybody says, I knew Rich Strike was going to do it. Sure you did. Sure you did. Here's a good question. One we can debate and kind of talk about the horses a little bit. Which trainer is more likely to win? Todd Fletcher has 3. Brad Cox has 4. Mike Somich, which trainer is more likely to win the Kentucky Derby this year?
Jorge Delgado.
Jared, which trainer is more likely to win? Todd Fletcher or Brad Cox?
Wow. Todd Fletcher.
It's Gustavo Delgado, by the way. You didn't even get his name right.
Well, then it's definitely not Jorge Delgado. I agree with Jared. It's Todd Fletcher here. I mean, he's going to have the top 3 choices, and if you're looking at the most likely horse to win from either of these, it's Forte. You've got Kings Barnes. We don't know a ton about. He's still kind of progressing, but going to be sitting close to the pace. And when you look at the different Cox entries, it's a little difficult to be like, hey, this horse is definitely going to get the right trip to be able to win, or this horse definitely wants the distance when you talk about someone like Verifying. So for me, Fletcher has a better shot than Cox here.
Aaron?
Yeah, it's Fletcher for me. My top 2 choices are Todd Fletcher runners, so I think I'm going to have to go with Todd Fletcher with this answer. Pretty easy explanation.
Papa Dude, same for you.
Both have better
yeah, no doubt.
Sorry, I was just going to say I think they both. I mean,
they're both great.
One Cox horse has one. I mean, there's one Cox horse I think can win. There's 2 that I think can win for Fletcher. I think it's, for me, that's simple.
Yeah, I'm going Fletcher too. But it's not because he's a better trainer. He's just got a better horse, I think. So, I mean, they're both fantastic trainers. You got 4 horses in the Kentucky Derby, and the other guy has 3. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I know a lot of people hate on Todd Fletcher for his 2 for 60-something starters in the Derby. But, hey, he's got 2 Derby wins. Only Bob Baffert, I think, can match that in the last decade. And the fact as an owner, you just want a chance, right, to get a horse into the Derby. And at this point, like you see with the post draws, you just have to leave it up to God once you get your horse qualified there. So I have no issue with Todd Fletcher and his 2 for whatever streak, because that doesn't mean anything to me. He has a lot of horses that come from New York, from the Wood Memorial that, Bourbonic, did anybody think was going to win the Derby? No, but that was, if you were an owner of Bourbonic, that was pretty damn exciting to win the Wood and then go to the Kentucky Derby. So that's a good one. Rob has a good question. Favorite price horse to use underneath here, Mike? Where would you go with this one?
Well, I guess Mage, if you're not putting Mage on top, would be the one for me. But the other one I think is King's Barnes. The more I've looked through this race, the more I think King's Barnes is going to end up hitting the board. Not positive he can win the race, but from a setup perspective, should get a very good setup, shouldn't have an issue with the distance, and is one of those horses that should be right there, sitting at 12-1 right now on the board, but should be right there turning for home. I'm not sure he can win the race, but I do think he's a very, very likely horse to hit the Super.
Papa Dude, I see you looking through your charts right now. Who's a favorite price horse for you to use underneath?
Is Practical One the one that's 10 or Move the one that's 10-1?
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
that's mine. 10-1 on a horse that's pretty good. I like that one at 10-1. I don't think he's going to be 10-1. I think he'll move in a little bit.
Aaron, I know you did the Kentucky Derby preview that we put out yesterday. And if you haven't checked it out yet, go to youtube.com/racingdudes and check out Aaron's awesome preview. He gave his top 5 horses. So if you want to play the Super High 5, Aaron gives you his top 5 for that. You had Practical Move in that top 5. Would you say he's your favorite price to use underneath?
Well, I'm with Papa Dude, though. I don't think he's going to end up being that price. I think he's going to take money, and I think people are going to see what I see and what really all of us have seen. This is a horse that's going to get the perfect trip, and even if you don't think he's going to be great at this distance, he's still going to get a really good trip, so I think he's going to get bet. I think for me, I think Mage makes a lot of sense underneath, even if he doesn't get the desired trip. He still has shown that he'll come running. Even the Florida Derby, he came running with a nice race, even though he was way behind. So I think you can kind of count on him to come up and hit the board at a decent price of 15-1. I'm kind of coming around on Skinner a little bit as a horse to hit the board, and I want to be very clear to hit the board. I don't think he's going to win. But doesn't he just kind of have the look of a horse that's just going to drop back, make that run? He's made big moves on the turn 2 straight times. He's 20-1. I wouldn't mind throwing him in a trifecta or superfecta. I think he'll come running for you.
Jared, what about you? Who's your underneath price horse this year?
Man, Halterman just ruined my big old surprise there. Skinner is mine. The more I've looked at it, well, here's the thing. Like, the more I've looked at it, the more I've liked Practical Move. And I don't think he can get the distance, and the horse that's been right there with him in those last. I think this pace. I don't know what if there's any props out there as far as the first quarter or first half is going to be, but I'm going to go under. I think this is going to be faster than most people are thinking. So I don't think it's like suicidal like last year, but I do think it's going to set up nicely for some of these closers. I don't necessarily love Skinner to win, like Halterman said, but I think he's a horse that is going to stay on. He's kind of getting better with each start. I think he could definitely hit the board at a big price.
It seems like Skinner would be a great one to use. For me, the jockey upgrade to Juan Hernandez is kind of the big deal. I'm not always the biggest fan of Victor Espinoza, and it's surprising that John Sheriffs is usually very loyal to his jockeys. Out of the blue, it seems like just suddenly decided he was going to change to Juan Hernandez a day after DRF had a whole article about Victor Espinoza talking about how excited he was for Skinner if he was able to draw into it. So a little interesting there. Shadi says, yeah, not a bad post for him either.
Can I ask a quick question to the 2 Skinner fans above me here? Mm-hmm. Where would you have Mandarin Hero if he was in this race?
I would have him hitting the board for sure. I think he could definitely be a hit the board candidate. I wish he was in here. I like him better than most of the horses that are in. I think it's a shame they changed the point system and it ended up costing him, because I think he would really play a big factor in this race.
Yeah, I would have him, right 4th, 5th, somewhere in that department. I mean, I think, again, I saw a question like, what makes you think that the pace is going to be like that? You look at a lot of the speed, and I'm interested to, you guys can comment as well. Like, you see a lot of that speed signed on the inside there. I think Derma has got the look of a horse that's going to want to just blast out of there. You never know that with Mage, if he can break, what he's going to do. There's just enough speed in the race to me. Jace's Road is cheap speed, the definition of cheap speed, but there's enough horses in here that I think are going to want to go. That one, I think it's going to make the pace solid, and 2, I think it is going to help a horse like, say, Tapit Trice, who all of a sudden may not have as much traffic, because a lot of these horses are trying to get to the front. We know he's not fast enough to be in that mix, so might have less traffic there early in the race.
The first
ahead.
quarter and first half props aren't up yet, but once they go up, we'll make sure we put them on here so we can talk about those during the show. I would guess it's going to be 22-4, 47-1, somewhere in those range. That's what it's been in past years.
For me, and actually somebody brought it up here, Marshy Mitch, reincarnate at 50-1 with the horses kind of running style. I think if you want a complete bomb to hit the board, not to win, I think to hit the board, reincarnate's a good one. Remember, after he won the Sham Stakes, Baffert said that he thought this was a true mile and a quarter, mile and a half horse who's not exactly like has a sharp turn of foot, but he just wants to keep running and keep running and keep running. With John Velasquez, he won with Authentic on the lead. He won with Medina Spirit on the lead. He won with Always Dreaming right on the lead. Not all the time did we think those horses were going to go right out to the front and do that. I think that if he gets reincarnated into a good position, when he's drawn outside of much of the other speed there, I think he's got a great chance for that horse. You're not going to see him come flying late like a Forte, a Tapit Trice, and Angel of Empire. I think he's going to be hanging around there at about the 8th pole towards the 16th pole. It's just a matter of, is anybody going to have the stamina to go get him? But he's 50-1 for a reason. That Arkansas Derby race makes you kind of go, I don't know if he even wants to go mile and an eighth sometimes. So, yeah, it's pretty questionable, right, Aaron?
He's probably going to ruin a perfect trip. Waste a perfect trip. When I handicap this race, you look at him and you go, that is the perfect post, and he projects to have the absolute dream perfect trip. He is the type of horse that you do want to back in the Kentucky Derby from a running style, from a post position. But guess what? He got the absolute perfect, could not get any better Arkansas Derby trip, and Angel of Empire passed him like he was tied to a pole. And not only that, he got beat by King Russell, who passed him like he was tied to a pole. He blew the Arkansas Derby. I just can't back him, even if he is 50-1 on Saturday. But I do agree with what Magic's saying. When they turn for home, I think there will be a couple people that look at Reincarnate and go, he's got a shot. But I just don't think he'll finish it.
Yeah, the way that Arkansas Derby, I can't blame anybody for not using him, and that's why. Well, we think he's 50-1, right? We're not sure about Jace's Road. Some of these odds, it's depending on if you check the official website or the PPs from DRF, you kind of see something a little bit different there. Shadi has a question. We talked about Practical Move earlier. Shadi said that she's seeing a lot of rumbling about Practical Move not doing much in the mornings. Does anybody have any concern?
I do not concern myself with rumblings on Twitter.
I'm not even on Twitter.
I don't even look at Twitter.
I don't even know what you're talking about. And I'm glad that I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was trying and pull it up here. There it is. Alex Evers for Eclipse caught a photo of him feeling actually very, very into himself. Let me see if I can pull that out. Jared, did you have any concern about that? I know you said you're not much on Twitter either.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna add to Alterman's. I am on Twitter. Oh, look at him. I am on it, but I've silenced all, or I don't get any notifications or anything, so I just forget to look for like days at a time, and so it's the most freeing feeling I've ever had. So. Yeah.
I can say without any doubt, I enjoy horse racing 300 times more since I've left Twitter.
Well, here's the thing: you could have positive and negative rumblings on every single one of these horses over this last week leading up to the Derby because of how under a microscope they all are, depending on what time you looked at them. And so for me, it's just not something where I'm going to allow myself to be talked on or off a horse I really like, because at this 20-second stretch, this specific person said, well, it's not that great, right? It just, to me, there's so much information that is out this week about 20 horses that is wildly more than any other week that we see information about any set of horses, that there's just too much there to be like, okay, I'm definitely going to take this seriously. It's so hard to purse it all that at some point you just got to say, okay, I'm going to stick to my normal routine, treat this just like any other race, and not allow all the information to just overflow it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well said. There's so much more information. Yeah, see, like you got here, Forte. We've heard from some people who were there at the track saying that Forte looks small, or Dennis says he looked like gold yesterday. Best horse you've seen live all year. So, yeah, take it. I would say don't let the rumblings on Twitter, especially if you considering who some of the sources are. Depending on how swift those sources are, be careful what you hear with those rumblings and take it with, maybe just the tiniest little pinch of salt. We got one more fun question before we get out of here, guys. We talked about people said some of their favorite Derby Day traditions were drinking mint juleps. I've tried mint juleps. I don't understand the love of mint juleps. I think it tastes like rubbing alcohol with a little bit of a Listerine after effect there. So, Derby Day drink of choice. Jared, I'll start with you since you used to host all these wonderful big galas at your house, or at your parents' house. Derby Day drink of choice at the Welch household.
Well, those drinks were not what I would drink now. Back then, it was probably like Bud Light or Natty Light or something. No, I would say what was it? What are those called, Halterman? That we always get
Yeah, it's Woodford and something. It's a Derby thing.
Is it the Spire or something? The Spires?
Yeah, something spot. Yeah, they have a special name for it. It's lemonade in Woodford, basically.
It's lemonade in Woodford is my
Yeah.
go-to. Just FYI, that's what I drink at home all the time. But it's like what they had there. Of course, they're free, which is awesome when we go. So we definitely get I would say I get our money's worth, but it's free anyways. So we make sure to make them pay when we go. So that Woodford lemonade will just make it easy.
Woodford Spires. That's it. Yeah.
So good. So good.
Yep.
I might go now, actually, just to get that.
Papa Dude, what about you? Do you have a drink of choice for Derby Day? Or any big day?
Milk.
Does the body good.
Listen, I can't drink anymore. My heartburn is so bad. I never was much of a mixed drinker, to be honest. I can drink margaritas and they don't bother me. So I would have to go margarita, I guess, because I do like them. And they don't bother me, but I drink anything else. Anything that's got, I really like a screwdriver a bunch. Anything with vodka, I love. But if I get that orange juice in there now, it goes right to my gut and the heartburn comes up and it ain't worth it. So, and I hate milk. So I would go a margarita for sure.
Milk was a bad choice.
Yeah.
Mike Somich, what about you? You busting out the Casamigos?
Yeah, I mean, I've really had a coming of age story here with tequila, so I'm gonna go with Casamigos on the rocks this year. That's gonna be the drink of choice. My drink of choice generally has been Scotch, and that's really transitioned over the last year and a half. So hey, God, it's me, Mike. Just give me the tequila. That's all we're looking for.
I can't drink Scotch. Oh, I hate it.
Man, that Casamigos got me through the Super Bowl, FYI. Good stuff. True story. That stuff is so good. Somich got me on that when we went to the Breeders' Cup, and I was like, holy shit, this is good. I'm not a big tequila guy either. He was drinking it straight, like you're saying, and I was like, you're nuts. So he let me try it, and I'm like, oh, okay. That's smooth.
The Church of Casamigos. That's the real church where we got to talk about this year.
Oh,
Mike got me onto Casamigos too because of our friendly bets that we do on the show, and I kept having to buy him Casamigos. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try this myself. Very good, but ever since then, I have a Tuesday tradition. I'm usually off, take the day off and spend the time with my son, and we usually go to the LA Zoo together. The last 3 weeks now, when we've driven to the zoo, there's been a Casamigos truck directly in front of me at some point, and I kept telling my wife about this, and so yesterday she went with us to the zoo, and sure enough, we're driving on the highway, and I just was following right behind a Casamigos truck, and she's like, you're attracted to that like flies on shit, and I'm like, well, it's very good. I can't explain it, but Casamigos trucks are everywhere right now.
I mean, so you can buy this already mixed up, or you got to make it?
No, it's straight.
It's straight
Casamigos
tequila.
is a brand of tequila that is
Oh, it's a
excellent
brand of tequila.
just on the rock. Like there's a lot of bad tequilas where like you have to add something to it or else it burns your throat. It's wildly disgusting and you have absolutely no interest in drinking it by itself. Casamigos is a $50 bottle of tequila that you can just put on ice and it tastes amazing.
Okay.
Well, it's sub 50 out here. I kept having to pay I pay like at least $50 per year when you lived in North Carolina. Those stupid ABC laws out there.
Well, you
a
got
lot more
crushed on
expensive.
Sanibel. That's when it was crazy. It was like $60 a bottle there. Speaking of that, we need some more tequila bets. I'm running out over here, Magic. We'll have to talk about that on the next show tomorrow.
I haven't had Somich. You're the tequila guy. Have you tried Clooney's tequila yet?
That is Casamigos, Magic.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
That's the guy on the
know.
trucks that you're driving by all the time on the motorcycle.
Magic, do you like Mage in the Derby?
No.
Well, then there's your perfect bet right there.
We'll come up with one because I'm against practical move. So we can have a little fun with Mage and
Mage
Practical
head
Move.
on bet. Whoever finishes.
Damn it! I knew that was coming. I didn't need your help, Jared.
Hey, I'm just trying to set it up. Okay, that's all. I'm just the mediator here.
Well, you can tune in Thursday. I'm going to take 24 hours to think about it. Tune in Thursday, May 4th, Star Wars Day. We'll be live again at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And by the way, all this tequila talk, don't forget Friday is Cinco de Mayo. So Kentucky Oaks Day, get ready for that. We'll be ready here. Let us know who your drink of choice is, what you love to have for the Derby Day down below in the comments section. If you haven't yet, subscribe to youtube.com/racingdudes. We have more content coming to you throughout the week. Go to racingdudes.com. Tons of articles there as well. I took my stab at the Saratoga Slim Pace thesis and I got his approval on that. So I think I didn't do a terrible job. That's all I needed. He didn't tell me to quit, just trying everything in life. So that was a good sign for me. Also, if you want, we talked about price horses underneath. I went back and looked. The last 23 Kentucky Derbies, 9 times you've had a horse. 2 horses that had odds of at least 10-1 hit the trifecta. So even if you like a short price, like Tapit Trice, Angel of Empire, of course, Forte, throw some long shots in there underneath for the trifecta. Mix it up. Don't be afraid to box them. The data says it's very likely to happen again this year. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow and every day throughout this week leading up to Kentucky Derby Day. For Jared Welch, Aaron Halchman, Papa Dude, Mike Somich, I've been Magic. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.